Got a real nice campfire going tonight, putting off some strong heat. Camp is certainly feeling good. One tool that is essential in managing your fire and keeping it in good working order is the fire poker. Now, admittedly, it's often neglected. Typically, the first stick I find of suitable size becomes my fire poker, and it's thrust into the fire at will, left laying around, and it does the job. It's serviceable. But with just a few simple steps, we can turn our simple stick into a far more suitable campfire tool. In woodcraft and camping, Nesmith states that the fire poker should be approximately 4 feet in length and about 2 inches thick in diameter. That gives you a nice stout fire poker that's strong enough to be able to maneuver around larger logs. He notes that the wood should be green and of a species that doesn't burn very readily. Since there's so many of these spruce poles laying around, I'm just going to be using this. It is a dead piece of wood. It will burn up, but again, there's so many of these just laying around that I can simply fashion up a new one if this one happens to get burned up or damaged at all. So what we're going to do is on one end of our pole, and I'm using the thicker end here, we're going to use our hatchet and just flatten out the end. We're going to taper both sides of the stick, and I like to begin my taper about 8 or 10 inches up from the end. Once both sides are tapered, I go ahead and square off the end of the fire poker, which gives me a nice wide end to work with. So we got a nice taper on both sides. Again, about 8 or 10 inches from the end is where the taper begins, and the end is squared off, so we have a nice wide tip. Last thing we're going to do is just come a few inches up from the end of our fire poker here. Using our knife, we're just going to carve a notch. We can kind of chamfer the edges of this if we want to. There we go. Our fire poker is complete. Not hard at all. So what benefits have we added to our fire poker? Well, first off, since we have these flat faces, it makes it a lot better for pushing stuff around the campfire because we have more surface area rather than it being rounded. It's less likely to slip off. We can firmly push on stuff, move it around. With the squared off end, that's really nice for raking around coals, being able to maneuver them. In some cases you can even pick them up if you need to for placing on top of cookware or to move them to a different part of the fire pit. The wedge shape from both sides being tapered is really good for getting underneath of logs to be able to lift them up and maneuver them how you need to. And of course, the notch in here is for the bail on our pots, so we can hook them securely, remove them from the fire. And even if our fire poker tips forward, the notch is deep enough where our bail won't slide out, spilling the contents. So very, very simple to make, but it adds a lot more effectiveness to your fire poker around the campfire. And that is the fire poker. often overlooked, but gives you a lot more control over your campfire. So I thought tonight I would also speak a bit about my gear, more specifically the weight of everything. Nesmik had a strong focus on maintaining a lightweight kit, so I thought I would share what my total kit weighs for this outing. I guess I'll start with the pack itself. This is a double strap duffel bag, I believe they call them. Basically just a big canvas bag with shoulder straps. Now this material is rather heavy, and the bag itself is rather large, definitely larger than I needed for all this gear. But the pack itself weighs 3 pounds, so again, certainly a little overkill for what I needed, but it was the closest that I had to the type of bag that he described himself using. I wanted to stick with a soft pack for this trip. We also have the wool blanket, and that weighs 4 pounds. We got 3 pounds with the pack, 4 pounds with the wool blanket. We're at 7. The tarp is a bed sheet, actually. It's just a queen size bed sheet that I waxed. Before I waxed it, it weighed 3/4 of a pound, and after waxing, it jumped up to 3 pounds. So quite a bit of wax in it, but it certainly is waterproof. But we got 3 pounds on the tarp, so add that with the pack and the wool blanket, we are at 10 pounds. My extra clothing, I did go a little heavy on the extra clothing just because I didn't know what to expect for weather. I brought 2 wool sweaters. I brought my heavy waxed cloth jacket, which is fairly heavy. And then I also brought some extra socks, a pair of wool sleeping socks, and a base layer, an extra base layer, top and bottom. And altogether, my extra clothing weighs 5 pounds. So quite heavy on the extra clothing, but I figured I'd rather be prepared than be out here and be cold or be wet, depending on what the weather did. So with that 5 pounds from the clothing, we're at 15. I brought about 5 pounds of food, so that brings us up to 20 pounds already. We got the ditty bag, which just has all my small stuff in it, my pack organizer. It's got a little repair kit in it, small first aid kit, my tobacco pouch, and my pipe. It's got a strop, and just some rope and miscellaneous things. This weighs 3 pounds. I've also got my cookware, which weighs 2 pounds. It's actually 1 3/4 pounds, but we'll round up. We'll call it 2 pounds. So 20 plus 3 and 2, we're at 25. And the only thing else that I have is my hatchet, which, including the sheath, weighs 1.5 pounds. So that brings us up to the grand total of 26.5 pounds, which, I don't know, depending on how you pack, that might seem really heavy, or maybe it's really light. For me, I realize now that that is pretty light for me. Compared to recent trips when I was hiking with my pack, this time around with 26.5 pounds on my back, I was having no issues whatsoever. The past few trips that I've been out on prior to this, I think my pack was pretty heavy, probably up over 40 pounds, maybe even close to 50 pounds, and I definitely noticed that weight on the trail. And oftentimes I've been of that mindset where I can handle the extra weight, so I don't worry about it. I just pack what I want to, and however much my pack weighs is what I deal with. But these past few outings prior to this one, I've really noticed that extra weight on the trail. It gets to the point where when you're hiking, you gotta stop and throw your pack off trail side and take a break, and all that extra weight, it seems like with every step your pack just grows heavier and heavier, and the shoulder straps dig in deeper and deeper. And I think I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to my overall weight of my kit. This time around, though, with 26.5 pounds on my back, I was having no issues whatsoever. Hiked in. This was a fairly long hike to get to this camp, and again, no issues. Got to this camp, was able to lift my pack off easy peasy. I didn't have to stop on the trail at all, and wasn't tired when I got here. And so I think for me, probably right around 30 pounds is going to be my sweet spot, so that's what I'm going to try and aim for from here on out. But it's pretty interesting to actually break all your kit down and see how much everything weighs, and take the time to see how much weight you're actually carrying. I really don't have much left to do tonight. I'm just going to relax around the campfire. I'll have to build it up again. It's kind of died down on me here, but we'll build it up, relax a little bit around camp, and then turn in for the night. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one.